hit the recording so we have this for posterity. Um, so yeah, so some of the information that I covered in the previous session is sort of um, um, I I will be building on that tonight. So for the most part, if you're here just to learn like the the basics of PubMed as far as just doing is, like keyword searches, we won't necessarily do that so much tonight, but but tonight I was going to show you just a few tricks that will help you hopefully find um, any sort of research literature um, that you're looking for any of your projects or papers or anything like that. So just to get started for tonight, what we're going to go over tonight is we're going to talk a little bit about mesh. That's MESH, and it's a capital SH, which stands for medical subject headings. Talked about this a little bit in the first session. We're actually going um, to do a search using mesh, and I can tell you why it's really important. I'm going to talk a little bit about basically some of the advanced tricks and some of the good tips to use um, as you're using PubMed. So we'll talk about formatting the page to your best liking, and we'll also talk a little bit about how to create your NCBI account, which is a free account that allows you to save searches, um, to set additional filters, and really, really useful tool. Um, I would definitely encourage you to to definitely sign up for it, and I'll go over that really briefly tonight. I already have an account, of course, but I was just going to show you how to get your account off the ground, so to speak, and then show you how to add some really, really useful features. So one of the last things we'll talk about is just some of the additional PubMed tools that are out there. Some of the additional PubMed tools are a little bit on the overly, I would almost go as far as say, is like overly complex. And I'm probably going to save some of those um, uh, um, for their own sessions. But I was definitely going to give like a quick overview of those. So PubMed, and before I get going, I'm just going to make sure um, you can make sure everything looks right on the page. All right, terrific. So let's do some searching using PubMed. So I'm gonna bring up my notes because I tend to get a little excitable sometimes doing this. It actually took me a while to really come up with a plan of action for this session, because PubMed is kind of one of those things where the basics of it are actually fairly simple, and reason why is because PubMed operates, as essentially any search engine does. It's um, input keywords into the search bar here at the top, hit enter search there, and there's results to pick from, and then there's filters to use, and there's these, similar articles, and so, but then for the and then for the next step, it really goes from, and I sort of poorly titled this webinar, in that it really should be PubMed for intermediate advanced, really, because some of these features and or tools are usually, used a little bit farther down the road um, uh, in the research process. So if if you have any questions, of course, just um, hold on to them till the end of the session, and I will be more than happy to answer them. So it always helps just to get started uh, with any sort of research is I guess it would be a research scenario. So I sort of came up with um, with a simple uh, clinical scenario. So so let's say my clinical query is I have a 53-year-old patient with a who's just recently undergone a total knee replacement surgery. He wants to get back into an active lifestyle, whether that be golfing, running, etc., traveling. And the physical therapist decides course of action, but wants to do a little bit of research on the exercises to get his or her patient back on track. So, using that scenario, of course, 53-year-old patient who's recently undergone a total knee replacement surgery. If you're using PICO, which I hope that you're using, because PICO, of course, stands for patient intervention comparison, and, as well as outcome. This is a good way to actually framework your a research question and to structure it so it's easier to research. And I talked a little bit about PICO in the last session. As a matter of fact, I talk about the PICO method in a lot of my sessions, whether it's advanced searching with the USA Library or with a basic searching one as well. So using PICO, I've extracted a couple terms to use. So this is sort of a review of what I talked about in the last session. So I'll do that really quick. So some of the keywords that I've extracted from that scenario that I just mentioned is total knee replacement, and even it's a physical therapy. So I'm going to put therapy. I could put physical therapist if I wanted to. That would also work. And exercises. That's a big one. It's a huge one. And we don't really necessarily have to worry about age or anything like that, because that's what our filters will actually help us with. So I'm going to just run a basic. This is a simple, basic, unbelievably basic keyword search. So using these keywords that I've added in here, of course. It's given me 368 uh, results to actually go through, and then over here I have a few additional tools. All of our filters that are located here on the left side, and then um, results by year, a recent activity. It's just some of my preparation for this session, and so yeah, 368 articles. So this is one way to get started, to get started on your research. Um, and it's a valid way to do it, and it's a great way to start. But let's say that you're kind of starting to run into just issues where you're not either getting enough, or let's say that you're not, or let's say that once you've plugged in these keywords, that you're not necessarily seeing the types of results um, um, that you would like to see. And so that's kind of where some of these advanced search strategies that I'll talk about tonight kind of come into play. So mesh, let's talk a little bit about mesh. So you actually see mesh here on the um, on the results page, as you can see right here where it says best match um, search information mesh, and it's broken it down um, into terms there automatically, which is really helpful. PubMed is great about um, uh, anticipating uh, searchers' wants and wills, really. So we have our keywords up here, but let's say that pretty much everything here that we've gone through is just not meeting expectation, and that we would like to find something that's a little bit more direct to our topic. So, so to access Mesh, you can either do it right here, where you see where I am with this drop-down menu where it says PubMed. You can drop down and search for Mesh. Mesh is right there, and like you could actually do the search here, or you can also go back out to the main PubMed page and go under more resources here and click on the mesh database. So as I was talking a little bit about that before, um, you know, finding the finding the medical subject heading term for a search topic can often retrieve more meaningful uh, results, and it can help ensure that you don't miss information as well. So, so what is mesh? So mesh is in the simplest terms is the controlled vocabulary. So every entry that's in Medline PubMed has been indexed by a person, and that indexer has analyzed the content of the articles and has assigned subject terms to that article. They also use some of the terms that are typically supplied by the publisher, which in turn were probably supplied by the uh, by the author. But what Mesh really helps you do is that it allows you for more focused searching. So when you search using a Mesh term, um, you're using more specific terms um, um, than probably what you started with. So, keeping with our scenario topic that we were just talking about, let me show you kind of what mesh really does. So we were talking about our 53-year-old patient uh, who's undergone total knee replacement surgery. So that's definitely something. The total knee part. That's what we would use mesh for. So what we will do is input total knee replacement here, and it populates for us because this is kind of a popular term. So you click on it, and what mesh does is that it takes a colloquial term, sort of like an everyday term, and it lets us know what is the actual name of it, or I guess what what the indexer um, um, the term that the indexer has assigned uh, um, to that search topic. So for us here, it's arthroplasty replacement knee. And what it does is that it gives us a little bit of information about it below. We'll talk about the subheadings in a minute. Talk about that. Then it gives you additional terms um, that are related um, to the mesh term. So as you'll see, that's our term right there. But then for this um, for this procedure, there's actually many other names for it, and all of those have been indexed here. A little pro tip with this is that if you start to run out of keywords and or your chosen keywords um, are um, are not providing uh, are not providing the types of articles that you want, then it might be a good idea to use some of these as well. Um, so, as I was talking about, the mesh terms have um, uh, they have subheadings. We'll go back to those in just a minute, just to make sure I don't forget that. So, the page obviously provides you with information about the term with additional keywords, and terms in the mesh database are arranged hierarchically. So you'll have a very broad term, for instance. So let's say the broadest of all of these terms is the analytical, diagnostic, and therapeutic techniques and equipment category, which is like above all of this. And so the more specific next rung term is surgical procedures operative, and then it goes down to orthopedic procedures, and then arthroplasty, and then arthroplasty re- replacement, and then it goes down through um, 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 all of the different types, whether it's hip or whether it's knee or the elbow or anything like that. So um, that's how mesh kind of works. Um, these are some of the previous terms, actually. That's kind of interesting. So if you're looking for articles that predate, it looks like the consensus here is anytime before 1966. These are, or um, or at least from 1966 to 1997, some of these actually might be useful. So what do we do with this? So how does this help us? Well, what we did, of course, is that we'll use this term plus the subject headings to actually find us articles uh, for one that might be um, more uh, more relevant to our topic, um, a lot more easily than, say, plugging in keyword after keyword after keyword after search string after search string. This is what mesh does, um, is that, of course, it takes the indexer's language, and it makes it available for searching. So let's go ahead and start, and let me show you how to build a search. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add this mesh, um, this, this mesh heading to our search. So I just did it right there by clicking Add to Search Builder. And so what it's done is that it's basically added the term here for us. Now, which is really, really useful. And what I love about the search builder feature here is that you can continue to add on to it, which is so great, because, prior to this, this term would probably have to be written down, and then you'd go eventually back to like a clean PubMed page, and then, input all of these terms in. But PubMed, which I always tell students, is like one of the best best tools for doing any sort of biomedical resort, research is because the search tools are just so convenient and so easy to use. That's definitely one of my absolute favorite things about this. So um, this is when we get back to subheadings. So with the mesh term that we've added to our search, what we now can do to better concentrate this search is use some of the subheadings that have been provided to us. I stutter sometimes, so I apologize. Um, so for our topic, which we're going to be talking more about, physical therapy, therapeutic use um, of techniques and things like that. One of the first things on the subheadings that jumps out to me is rehabilitation, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're trying to research exercise techniques for a patient trying to get over now a knee arthroplasty. So let's go ahead and do rehabilitation. We can check mark it right here. We can do therapeutic use, but I would jump that one for therapy actually, because therapeutic use, um, you know, it could be just not a good term for this. So we can add these two terms to Search Builder. So we're adding them as subheading. So we'll click Add to Search Builder and give it a second, and you can see what it's done is that it's added our terms, plus plus it's added a lot of Boolean terms as well. Boolean operators being, things like quotation marks, uh, parentheses, the ands and the ors, and the nots and things like that. A lot of researchers, you know, they will tend to start their research journey using these, um, but they typically don't have to. And what's wonderful about PubMed um, over a lot of search tools is that PubMed really tries to do all of the work for you, and it just makes the entire research process really um, manageable. At least to me, that is. So, all right, so we've gotten started. So these are the terms that we're going to start with, but we forgot something. We forgot that it's probably good um, to see if we can locate a mesh heading or um, um, or a subheading that's about exercise, whether it's exercise techniques or whether it's exercise therapy. Like that's probably that's the best one probably. Or like we can add it as exercise exclusively. So I'll just do exercise it is, but look how it populates. It's aerobic exercise, asthma exercise induced, and it's just really great because it just gives you a lot of options to choose from. So I'm just going to do exercise just to see what that says. And what it does is that it gives us additional mesh terms to use. So if we want to use exercise, we can simply check mark it and click add to search builder and go. There it is. It's added to it. And we can see, what some of the other ones that might be pertinent to it as we scroll down. So let's say exercise therapy absolutely is definitely um, um, the one that we should add to it. So we're going to add that to search, and I hope this searches something because this would be really embarrassing if it didn't. So let's try search PubMed using these terms, which you just click right below, and it gives us the results. it's a bit smaller. I think with the I think with the previous keywords that we used, I think we got more than um, what did we get something like um, 300 articles or something to that effect. It's smaller, but it's concentrated um, toward um, our initial topic. So, as we scroll down here, of course, you can sort of see some of the ones that might be most pertinent to your research as we go. Now, well, here's a few other things, or some of the advanced search tools that you can use. One of the ones I always point out to students is under here under format. So where it says summary. So it's that's the default setting is summary, and that default setting really just gives you um, just the basics of the citation, really. Um, well, uh, essentially, it is the citation. That's what it gives you. But if you want more than that, you can click on Format and Summary and go down, and you can click, say, Abstract, for example, and it gives it a second for it to. And what it then gives you, of course, is that it gives you the full abstract of the article as you're searching, which is really convenient if you don't want to constantly on, um, click on each click on each individual entry. And as I'm showing you this as well, one of the other things that I was going to show you too is the additional mesh terms. So let's say this article, the effectiveness of physiotherapy exercises following total uh, knee replacement, which sounds actually pretty good for us. We could, view the article, click on publication types, and we can see uh, what sort of publication that it is. It's a meta analysis and review, and we can also see some of the additional mesh terms here, which if you hover over the mesh term and then click on the term, it will then search it either in PubMed, which I usually do it like this. I usually will hover over it, click on it once, and if I want to search it in PubMed, I'll right click it again so it opens up another tab. So it'll search PubMed just that term solely here, as you can see. Um, or if I want to know, um, or if I want to know more about ambulatory care, and especially any mesh term associated with it, I'll go down pretty to mesh, search and mesh, right click, and then open a new tab again, and I can learn about ambulatory care and some of its variants. So that's definitely, very, very, very useful bit about mesh and about how mesh is, if if you really want to target searches, mesh is one of your best friends. So, um, as I was talking about a minute ago, I was looking at my notes, sorry. Um, just some of the other things to point out here on the page, other than the format, is I'd like to point out the sort by tool. So the default setting for PubMed, like a lot of search engines provide, is usually just best match to the keyword terms that are in the search bar, which is great, because uh, it'll sift through and attempt um, to match um, your key terms as best as possible. So, but if you don't want that, you can choose not to use best match. and you can do sort by, and you can choose to do it either, of course, sort by best match. You could do it by the most recent article published, which we'll talk a little bit about something to deal with that in just a second. And then publication date, as I said, author's first name, author's last name, uh, the journal that the article is published in, or just simply um, sort by title hits, and of course page, how many on a page. I typically, if I was signed in right now, you would see that it's set to 50. Um, so you can do that if you want to here. Of course, we're probably not going to get 50 because there's only 36 items. But yeah, that's something to think about when you're when you're searching and when you're using those um, any of those tools. Before I'm going to clear all my previous filters because I felt like there's probably some on there that I left. Other pieces to know. You can, which we'll talk about just in a minute, about setting up your NCBI account, but you can add additional filters um, um, to help you with searching. You can also search these terms that you've added, or any keyword terms in um, other PubMed or um, uh, uh, National Library of Medicine databases, and some of your recent activities here. And then something else to always consider is when you see this box, which of course is this up here. It's pretty much the exact same um, language that's up there is really down here. What I really like this box for is the see more. If you click on it, and I think we've actually, I think we've used um, um, all of the subject terms that we can use for this. So we didn't get any additional subject terms, but the sort of filter or um, let's finish up with our um, research question. So, so we have all of this inputted here in the search bar. Now, what we want to do is we want to find some information about our 53-year-old patient. So we already have, we're already searching for his ailment, um, some of the techniques that are probably most useful. And using the filters over here, article types, you can click on customize and you can choose whether you want strictly case reports, or whether you want controlled clinical trials, or reviews, or systematic reviews, or any of these other types of article types. You can choose text availability. So if you only want the abstract, you can just click on that solely, or of course you can go to format and click on abstract. If you're looking for free full text, you can choose that guy right there, and it'll update. And what it means by free full text is that um, um, when you click on the entry, that it has direct access um, to a full text document of the article, publication dates. That really doesn't apply to our research question, but this does species. We'll click humans. Um, PubMed also provides a lot of veterinary uh, vet veterinary medical literature as well. So um, always good to choose. Um, let's skip this guy for a few minutes, but let's go to show additional filters. And as we've already gone through some of these ones that are here, let's go to ages. This might help us out a little bit. So let's check mark ages and hit show. What it'll do is it'll show us the sort of the age ranges. So for our patient being in his 50s, it looks like we're not going to be able. Looks like a lot of these articles might not help us as far as the patient's age, but you know, we can always do our best to try to find something close to it. And you can do that by clicking customize, and you can go, middle aged, which is 45 plus years, or you can choose it where it's 45 to 64 years of age, and click show, and then it'll filter through those results. All right, so that cuts us down to 10 and so on and so forth. Um, you can continue to do this um, uh, for a while. Um, let's talk about your NCBI account situation. So I already have one. So what I would do here is I'd sign in. What Before we do anything, I'm going to clear all of these out. This is it's a good habit to have, by the way. And let's go back out just to the clean PubMed page here. NCBI count. So some of the filters um, um, that we saw on the search page, um, 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 those can be modified in your account settings. So one of the best things about your My NCBI account is that you can save previous searches. You can send or set it up to send you email alerts. It'll save your um, save any articles that you would like to come back later to, and or email it to yourself. I mean, it's a great tool. And one of the ones that I usually like to point out to students um, is the link out tool, which the link out tool I'll show you quickly. Um, and this is a free account. It's really easy to sign up for. Um, Go to my NCBI account, which is what you have to do if you um, sign up for an account anyway, and you can set your filters. So for me right now, I have 3 active filters going on, and let me open the manage filters right here. So the ones that I have set are for the University of St. Augustine Library, which is a filter that can be acquired if you do linked out. You click here on linked out. On link out, I don't know why I keep saying linked out, and you can apply that filter by going to libraries, and you can search for us. Usually, I think you'll be able to do it by searching for the university here. Now, since I've already signed up for it, I'm not sure if it's going to, um, yeah, okay. So it still comes up. Um, you can use as a filter. Why is that important? Is because if you've created an account, you can pair your account with a library. Um, so, so if you're a USA student and you pair your account, if you're doing a search, here I'll go back out and do, I think I can sign in both places and it's okay. Yeah, I think so. So say if I'm signed in and I do this, if I am looking at an article that I'm interested in, I click on it, and let's say this guy, I will, if I have this filter set, I will see the shield, which the shield means um, that the resource is available uh, freely through the University of St. Augustine. So if I were to click on the shield, it would take us to the proxy, log in, and you'd be able to view the content in full. But of course, you got to click this, and then you'll probably end up being directed to the article that way. So that filter is really important and extremely useful. So I would definitely suggest if you're going to do a lot of research using PubMed, which I hope you do. Um, uh, it's a wonderful resource that I would definitely stress for you to create a MyNCBI account. Um, that's the linked out part there. There's a few other parts, or there's a few other uh, filters that can be added. Some of them I don't know that would be super useful. Maybe literature might be, whether if you're looking for images or if it's certain publishers that you're trying to target with your research with these filters, or let's say that you would like to preset the clinical trials feature therein every time that you're logged into your account, and then you search for a term that it will automatically include clinical trials um, 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 as a filter in the search. And so that's definitely one of the best things about having an account is the pre-filters. So, for instance, if you only want um, uh, English language articles, or if you only want English language articles that are about human beings, because we because PubMed also offers veterinary medication or information. I don't know why I was thinking that. Or if you want to do one where it's a preset for full text, it'll populate here. We're going to do humans, populates there. I'll do humans in English articles. So if I'm logged into my account and if I do any search from here on with these preset filters, then I won't have um, to actually set these filters on the um, on the results page. So I'm just going to do a couple of them right now, and it'll automatically save them, which is great. I'll click on clinical trial 2. Published in the last 5 years. Let's do that one. Reviews. We don't really need that. And let's create a custom filter. And so we can do, let's do, so this is like a way for us to sort of test what we've done. Okay. Go back out to our buddy PubMed. Right here, we'll go here. Sorry, give me 1 second. And with our preset filters, let's just do, we'll just do this one to start us off on. And those are already preset, as you can see right here. So they have filtered these results from that um, from our preset filters. We can go through and we can remove those filters as well by simply just going through and unchecking them, and go back out. I think you can do like a refresh, and yeah, then it takes us back to normal. And all of the filters, they're still over here to use. One of the other things I'll show you really quick that actually I just discovered recently was or is this little feature on the results page called um, results by year. So if you can individually hover over each of these uh, the towers, and you can see how many articles were actually indexed about this topic in say 2016 and so on and so forth, like all the way through. And if you want to, of course, there's a download option which brings up a Excel spreadsheet I'm opening right now, and it breaks it down like year to year number, and that's pretty interesting. Where it seems like um, this topic started being um, that people started publishing information about this topic all the way back to 1962. So it's just something that I discovered recently that seemed pretty interesting. So that's pretty much it as far as the um, as far as intermediate slash advanced searching. Let me go over just a couple um, of peripheral tools that are also helpful as well. Unfortunately, I'm probably not going to go into them in a lot of detail. Some of these are probably they deserve um, their own their own session for. So I'm just going to go over them really quickly, but PubMed tools right here. We have this is a link to the PubMed mobile app, which can be downloaded. Uh, the single citation matcher. So let's say that you have the citation of an article, and but it's only in like pieces. So let's say the article or the journal that you know that it's published in is the American Journal of Occupational Therapy. You know around what the date of it is, and of course the volume, the issue, the author's name, or anything like that. Um, um, or any words that are in the title, you can search PubMed that way for it instead of uh, trying to locate it through a keyword search, um, um, or through like a journal title search, or something like that. It's just an additional PubMed tool that can be extremely helpful. Batch batch citation matcher. I honestly really haven't figured out really what this is really for yet. Um, um, I I'll definitely look into it, um, but it kind of does similar work as um, the single citation matcher, except um, with a larger block um, of citation names. So that's kind of what I figured out. I have yet to use it though. The other ones I've used, but I haven't used that one yet. Clinical queries, I haven't used much, but I actually did use it recently. Just real quick, the PubMed clinical queries page is really designed to filter, to be kind of like a one search for the three clinical research areas. So those are clinical study categories, systematic reviews, and medical um, genetics. So if you're looking up uh, maybe what we were looking up before, total knee arthroplasty, click search. It gives us different clinical categories then. So there's the column uh, has five categories. You have therapy in the one column, um, diagnoses, um, uh, um, prognosis, clinical clinical prediction guide, and then below it, you can you can uh, you can either narrow your scope um, and or the uh, broaden the scope of your search if you choose to do that. So if you broaden it, that'll include relevant articles Um, uh, but then it also would probably include articles that are not as meaningful as well. And same is said about the about if you narrow those as well. Systematic reviews, we all know those. This feature is really provided to help you locate systematic reviews um, as well as seminal articles to those. So it combines your search terms with citations that are identified as systematic reviews. Um, very, very helpful. Um, and and then the last one, of course, medical genetics uh, filter citations um, to topics um, in that research field. So, very useful tool. And last one, or second to last one I'll go over then is, gotta go back out to tools, is topic specific queries. This one I was just recently using, and in short, this is what it is. It's carefully constructed search strategies that that have been done by other researchers, really. Um, they can be either applied um, to your search string by, say, let's to your existing search string, and each of these searches can be or have been created by an expert, and they have been tested and optimized, and they are periodically updated. So it's just really it's a list of um, specialty searches that exist um, to uh, to deploy them um, uh, on the results page. You can go down to the subjects filter, and um, well, actually, excuse me, you would have to go to customize because the subjects filter typically doesn't populate first. So let me have to after you've done your search, you would go down to the subjects filter here, which of course um, uh, can also be found under show additional filters as well, but it's already up here. You can click on customize, and um, uh, it'll assist you uh, it'll assist you using some of PubMed's um, specialty um, subject or expert searches, I guess is probably the best way to say it. So, so those tools, and last one that I usually show students is usually one that that typically comes up when they've completed an assignment, say a paper or anything like that. It's the journals in the NCBI databases. So we'll click on that really quick, and I'll give you a quick example of what I'm talking about. So when you do citation or anything like that, usually, especially if it's AMA citation, when you add the citation to your paper, the citation, the journal typically has to be um, abbreviated. Or if you're looking for an article and you have the citation and you want to know more um, about the journal, this is where to do it. So you can learn about the journal as well as. So I'm just giving an example. I'm doing the American occupational therapy, or the American Journal of Occupational Therapy, excuse me. I'm doing that as my sample search just for this. And what it does is that it gives me all of the information about the journal. So if I need If I need the title abbreviation, I've got it right here. I can also learn about the journal, previous um, names of the journal, how long it's been in existence, which is also helpful. Some of its other titles, like it's as informally known as AJOT, for instance. Information about the publisher. If you want to link out to it, you can do that here. But it's a really, really useful tool if you want to get a little deeper um, uh, into learning about um, some of the journals. So that's pretty much what I have for tonight. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those. Um, if anything, if you don't have any questions right now, you can always contact me at rgaylor@usa.edu. I'm putting my information in the chat box. Um, so if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. I know it's a lot of information. And like I said, this will be posted um, on our YouTube page probably within the next 12 to 24 hours as soon as it populates. But otherwise, if you don't have any other questions, thank you so much for coming. Oh yeah, absolutely. I can show you how to do that. So um, I'm still in my account. So if you've created an account, what you would do is you would go to filters here and manage filters. And you go to click on for the select category, you click on link out and go to libraries. And you can either search us um, alphabetically if you want. You could do that. Might take a little while. Or simply use the search bar there at the top to search for the universities. So there's us. Click search, and then it shows up. And basically, since it's already added for me here, I think I can take it off by, yep, and I just did it right there. And I can get rid of the icon as well. But yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. Did you get that? Okay, cool, great. Was this helpful at all tonight? Because as I was saying, this is kind of a um, you know, kind of a strange trajectory because it's because the basic it is very basic, but then in between is a little tough, and sometimes it's a lot of information that gets passed down. So if you have any other questions, you can also let me know too. If not, as I said, you can always email me at that email address, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. I want to thank you so much for coming tonight. All right, Tool, great. Where are the recordings found? It's a great question, and I'm glad that I still have my screen up to show you. So if you're in the library, if you're on the library homepage right here, where we usually house these is under online resources. You click on online resources, and what we'll usually have after the session has passed is we'll have this listed at the top where it says a review of the past session, and usually come up here right above it. Or if you don't see that, you can click on any of these videos that are right here, and click on the YouTube, and it'll take you to our. Let me pause that. It'll take you to our to where this page appears, and you would just click on USA Library here, and we have a channel. And so if you want to, you can go through the playlist and view all of the instructional videos. You don't have to view them all at the same time, but all right, that's a little bit easier to see. Click on videos and you can view um, all of the videos that have been uploaded that have pretty much anything to do with any of the tools that have been that are used by the University of St. Augustine's library and are taught um, um, in our programs as well. So that's where to find it, and hopefully it should be up within the next 12 to 24 hours. Sometimes it, it takes it takes a couple of hours um, for the recording to compress, so it can be um, uploaded to YouTube. It's just like a Blackboard thing, really. But otherwise, any other questions about that? Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's wonderful. Um, if you have any other questions, let me know now or forever hold your peace. Well, I mean, forever, not really. Of course, you can always email me. Okay, terrific. Well, once again, thank you so much for coming out. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at my email address that's there. Also, if you ever forget it, you can go to the About Us page here on the library's homepage, and you can contact that handsome devil right there. Um, that's my direct line. If you want to call me instead. So there it is. Thank you so much for joining tonight, and thank you so much for your patience. And have a good night.